Hey, happy Friday, everybody. Mark again here at Weatherman Plus. Now, we have a big transition that's about to happen in our weather pattern. Matter of fact, our weather pattern is about to get downright weird, everybody, especially in the tropics. So we do have this area of disturbance that's coming off the coast of Africa. You can see it here. It is going to be moving into this direction where it has a 40% chance of development. We also have this low up here in the Atlantic, which will be shearing this system, and then maybe something very strange happening between the two, while we have this tropical wave going to the Caribbean, and it's going to meet up around the Central American gyre as we get this next phase going from the Central American gyre towards southern Florida into Bahamas with a lot of favorable environment, everybody. Plus, we have a cold front coming through after all this heat that you're going to have all this week. And as we go into this next weekend coming, we have a cold front coming through. Now, that's going to play a portion of what's going to happen over here in the tropics as well. And you can see all the dry air that is in the atmosphere in front of these tropical waves. So it's going to have issues forming also. And over here on the Atlantic side, you can see, like I just showed you, that we have our system coming off the coast of Africa. And as it moves further towards the west, it'll be a little bit more of a favorable environment 7 days down the road. We have a 40% chance. Nothing in the next 48 hours. Showing a tropical depression could form. This will move west, northwest through the tropical Atlantic. Still showing there's no impacts with this towards the Lesser Antilles, towards anyone else. Maybe some weird interaction over here in the Atlantic as we're starting to get that extended high pressure next week, and maybe a little bit further westward travel. I will show you the latest information. What I'm expecting to see is a big yellow lemon still right here into this region, and maybe even stretching into this portion of something going into this direction for next week. So as we look at the latest information, you can see it is trending between GFS and Euro as well. This is our potential velocity anomaly, showing that we have favorable environment passing through in all this blue. And you can see it is passing through the Eastern Pacific first. This is where we do have formation of a storm and another one possibly coming into that direction. You can see also that the favorable environment is moving further towards the east as we go from the 15th towards the 20th, while our MDR still wakes up and we have systems forming out from the MDR into the Atlantic. Still showing that information. You can also see it is trending with the Euro as well. So here you are with the system that's in the Eastern Pacific, the favorable environment that we do have. But you can see once we go from the 15th towards the 20th, we have a big pocket of favorable environment moving through. And this is moving from our Gulf, our Western Caribbean, and going across towards the Bahamas and a little bit of the East Coast, while we have our MDR waking up around that time still. So here's our timing that we're looking at, everyone. We still have all this sinking air passing through for the next 5 to almost 10 days. This is 5 days, but in 10 days is going to dramatically change. So we have our favorable pocket in the Eastern Pacific where storms are forming, but that's going to move towards the east with our MJO big wave coming through, everybody, showing very strong in the Western Caribbean, Central America, going through Eastern Pacific with a big area of favorable environment going from the East Coast all the way by Jamaica to Bahamas, all the way into the Gulf. And you can see you have favorable environment over here in the MDR, but going north into the MDR. And a lot of these storms are going that way. They're going north into the MDR. Now we're going to get an expanding high pressure soon, and this could easily go a little bit further towards the west. And then just as quickly as this strengthening up all the way towards the 20th, it is going to weaken right back down a little bit more as we go towards the end of September. Not where it has sinking air, it's just neutral. It's not rising or sinking. It's just a neutral phase as we go through after 10 days. So we are going to be active all the way from 5 days from now all the way towards the end of September. So you can see this as you look towards 7 days. That tropical wave moves towards the Lesser Antilles, goes towards the Greater Antilles, and you have that chance of formation forming, but it still has dry air and shear, while you get more tropical waves going from Central America, and it's going to bottle up over here towards the Yucatan, while you have this wave moving from the MDR and moving north into the Atlantic. And as you go 7 and 8 days, some kind of mingle interaction gets towards that upper level low into the Atlantic, while that next tropical wave comes towards the MDR. Remember, you get one every 3 to 4 days, while this moves closer towards the Bahamas, and this starts setting up around Central America literally once we go around 10 days. This is where we're going to get that trough coming through. We're going to get a big area of convection. Chances for storms to form. This is where we have all that favorable environment forming up with the weird interaction going on with the MDR. This is literally 9 or 10 days. We're trying to figure this out later on, so past this is really going to be inaccurate. But you can see how it starts bottling up around that region as well, and we get weird interaction happening with those waves also. So there's a lot of weirdness that's going to be going on. There's going to be a lot of very complex systems and interactions going on all week, so I will keep you updated. I will be doing afternoon updates once I come back on Sunday from Sabbath. This is still days down the road, everybody. You can see this with your vorticity with the European. So as you get in that trough, bringing those storms from Florida to Bahamas, maybe something right up the East Coast. Need to watch out for that. While that wave comes off the MDR and you have that low pressure into the Atlantic. Now this would put shear on this system as it goes further towards that north, wrapping around that Azores high pressure, and these two right here should put itself out. You get shear, you get mingle interaction, but they become one system later on, while we have another tropical wave coming off Africa and another one after that. So we're already right past 7 days already. So you can already see how slow we're going to be looking at this while all these thunderstorms start building up from Central America, going from southern Florida and the Bahamas, and all this starts transitioning to the west. Really comes to a head literally as we go 10 days. Everything gets very active. We really got to take this a few days at a time, everybody. You can see this. This low pressure has a lot of dry air, which is very weird. If it had a lot of dry air, it would not be able to strengthen up and be anything. But it's showing this system with a lot of dry air, and then this wave comes over, and them two interact and become something very weird down the road, while we get more waves racing towards the west, while we get that front coming through, bringing all these storms from Florida to the Bahamas, and it could form something up right off the East Coast for the next 2 or 3 days, bringing rainfall, maybe some storms towards the Carolinas. So we got to watch out for that as well. That's the closest one. That is literally in the next 72 hours to 4 days. So let's go for a comparison. Here's the GFS, and you can see over here with this system in the Atlantic, that tropical wave coming off the MDR, heading towards the north, and them two to a weird dance. And it actually shows that it actually becomes a system out there in the Atlantic. Just very weird interaction. Look at all the dry air aloft on this system. This is a 500 millibars, showing there's no way that could be a strengthening system because you have all that dry air. So there's a lot of weirdness going on. Plus, in 72 hours, as that trough starts bringing a low pressure, front-induced low pressure right there, right off the coast, something could form up that we need to watch for in the next 72 hours as well. Then everything's still coming to a head later down the road with all this tropical moisture from the Central American gyre towards Florida to southeast with that favorable environment all the way till the 20th, while we have some weird interaction going on in the Atlantic. And the GFS is not showing all those tropical waves going into the Caribbean later. So there's so much against each other. It is unbelievable. So let's talk about what we do know. Let's look at our Arctic oscillation, everyone, because I'll show you some big differences. This lets us know about this cold air coming through. Matter of fact, that cold air about to leave, it's going to pull away, and there is your warm-up that you're going to be having all through this weekend, all through next week. Then that cold blast coming back down for next weekend still. And you can see right here with the GFS and the Euro is that big square block that the cold air is going to linger around for a while. Now this cold front is going to make a lot of interaction and changes over what's building up for the Central American gyre going across the southeast U.S. and the Bahamas on that formation. So there's going to be a lot of complex systems and a lot of diversity in the atmosphere. Now this right here showing that cold front will leave early. This right here is from the Euro AI. And I know a lot of people have been saying, oh, the Euro AI has been so active and so good lately. I don't know why they're doing that. Here on this channel, we did a test during Hurricane Aaron, and we tested the AI, and it failed dramatically. It failed so much that we stopped showing it. It was not showing true. So I don't know why people's really clinching on to the AI. They're trying to bring something new, and it's really not doing it. But this is how complex everything's about to get, and it involves that cold front, everybody. So literally right before 10 days, 234 hours away, just looking at the atmosphere. This is with the GFS. You can see that weird interaction making the system into the Atlantic. You can see some kind of convection coming off Central American gyre going by the southeast U.S., but you don't see the high pressure yet. The high pressure is moving over. Now, if you go by the very same time, you go by the Euro, we have a tropical wave going off the MDR go towards the Caribbean. This is where it starts strengthening up and intensifying according to the Euro. There's nothing out here in the Atlantic. And we have a big high pressure of a cold blast that's coming through. Now, when you go by the Canadian, try and find a trend in all this chaos. The Canadian is showing everything. It's showing the convection from Central American gyre going by the southeast U.S. It's showing that high pressure of a cold blast trending further towards the east, and it's showing that system in the Atlantic and these waves coming off the MDR. So everything is all over the place right now, everybody. We literally have to take it a few days at a time. This is going to be a very complex, I can't say this enough, time of season that we're about to go through with this favorable environment, this cold front, and just a lot of complexity with it. Now, we'll continue to keep following all this favorable environment from the Central American gyre going towards Florida, Western Caribbean, and the Bahamas, still showing in some ensembles of the GFS that as we go from the 16th through the 20th, that there's still a few ensembles that is showing something could form up around that time. You can even see a little bit with the European now. The ensembles are starting to come around to where it could see around the 15th through the 20th, maybe even all the way to the 22nd and 23rd, that eventually these waves around the Central American gyre could get pulled out through that east-northeast on that trough. So we do need to watch that transition. I don't think it's going to be as early as GFS is seeing. It's trending a little bit later, more like into next weekend or a few days past that. So obviously it's still too far, but it's something we need to keep on the back burner and just keep our eye on it. As of right now, we still have the update from Global. Tropics was coming off to MDR. Eventually should start weakening as it goes towards the west, which makes sense because of the dry air as well. Because of the low pressure that's bringing shear and dry air. Somehow that's doing some kind of weird formation. Don't make sense. And you see how it runs out of gas right here and brings up above average precipitation towards the Leeward Islands, going towards Dominican Republic, Haiti, even towards the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, and Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Plus, what could form up into the Western Caribbean with all these thunderstorms, more than likely just a 20% will get pushed out through the west, but we need to watch it just to make sure that as we go from the 20s towards late September, this is where the expanded high pressure could be a potential issue, but you can see formation is just showing a less chance. Still showing 20% over the Gulf, Western Caribbean into the Eastern Pacific, and over here into the MDR, a 20% as well. That's where I showed you where our favorable environment is going to be less, and it's going to be more like a neutral pattern with a couple of pockets. That's why it's a little bit less. This will be our most intense part, will be the next 7 to 10 days. After that, it'll be another break until late October, still showing that. And you can see that here from your latest potential velocity anomaly long range. So as you have the MDR going through the Caribbean, the Gulf, into the Eastern Pacific, all the way until the 20th. Then we have a pocket of unfavorable sinking air. Then we have that neutral pocket coming late 20s into very early of October, where still things can happen, but still it's kind of a neutral. It's more like unfavorable, but we'll see what happens. Then another pocket potentially of unfavorable as we go to the beginning of October, but still showing from the middle of October through late October, we're going to be in the same scenario, everybody. Now, our temperature outlook, we do have this heat moving through all week still, but I'm still showing that it was correct with the European, that it was going to be into the 90s, maybe even the high 90s. A few little small areas could see 100, but it's not widespread 100 to 110 like GFS has been showing. But you can see here how it has grown for the next 6 to 10 days. A big above average anomaly pushing through. Summer's coming back. Remember, it was a fake fall. We all knew this. Why you got above average towards the west coast. Still showing that when that cold front comes through, it would be right after this as we go into this next weekend coming, and Monday and Tuesday. And remember, it is trending further towards the east. Also, your precipitation outlook. So we still have these storms brewing from the southwest going towards the north. This is all weekend long. We do have severe weather for that. You are going to be below average in the northwest, all the way from the deep south going towards the Tennessee, Kentucky Valley, and still above average towards Florida as we get this trough and we keep these storms going as we go into this next weather pattern with the tropics. But latest information we can see with the GFS on this cold front as we go into Thursday and beyond. This is where it comes on down for Friday, brings a lot of below average temperatures, anywhere from 10 to 15, even 20, and that purple, look at that. And even stronger as you go into Friday evening, bringing maybe chances of getting into the high 20s below average temperatures. Coming down for Saturday again, sticking around for Sunday, and then again for Monday and Tuesday as this pushes further towards the east when we get more heat building in behind this. Now you see for today, we don't have chances for tornadoes. It's going to be chances for wind to come with this pattern for tomorrow as well, and hail to come with this pattern. So here's your cities and states at risk for damage and winds for today, for Friday. Also with the hail, here's your cities and states at risk for possible hail for today. Now this is going into this weekend, so you can see with rapid refresh that as you go through the evening, you're going to get a big group of thunderstorms coming all the way from New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, pivoting towards the Dakotas. This is going to bring some damage and winds with that still all the way till tomorrow morning, while those storms really form up really good over here towards the Bahamas and the Florida Keys. Now for tomorrow, it's going to come again. We're going to have two different areas for tomorrow. We're still going to have those storms across the north, and we're going to grow some thunderstorms from Mexico into the south central as we go through for tomorrow evening. This is bringing chances for damage and winds and hail again. And as you go through tomorrow evening and through Sunday, it could go up on a higher ridge and bring more thunderstorms towards the central, the north central, a little bit more of the upper Midwest. So for tomorrow, once again, there's no chances for tornadoes just yet. It is going to be a threat for wind, but mostly a threat will be for hail for tomorrow, for Saturday. So here's your cities and states at risk for damage and winds for Saturday. Also for your hail threat, here's your cities and states at risk for Saturday. And Sunday, as you get in that grouping towards the north, this is where you could get a stronger threat, I do believe. But so far, you do have a 5% for severe weather. So far, here's your cities and states at risk. This is going through Sunday evening. I will see you again on Sunday morning. So now you can see everything as a whole, and you can see what we're sitting at with all this weather pattern going on, everybody. The Pacific possibly affecting us, our severe weather, potential cold blast that could be affecting all this happening with this favorable environment, and all this weirdness that's just happening over here in the MDR. And that is the latest update, everybody. So thank you again for your time. I really appreciate all of your support and your shares. I will see you again on Sunday. Before I go, I'd like to pray for some peace. I just feel like people just need some peace right now, everybody. Psalm 122. I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. Our feet shall stand within thy gates, O Jerusalem. Jerusalem is builded as a city that is compact together. Whither the tribes go up, the tribes of the Lord, unto the testimony of Israel, to give thanks unto the name of the Lord. For there are set thrones of judgment, the thrones of the house of David. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. They shall prosper that love thee. Peace be within thy walls, and prosperity within thy palaces. For my brethren and companions' sake, I will now say, peace be within thee. Because of the house of the Lord our God, I will seek thy good. Amen. And remember, above all things, all glory goes to God, our Father in heaven, Yahweh. And I always hope he keeps you safe every single day of your life and forever. Amen. Hallelujah. Amen. God bless you all, and peace be with every single one of you.